We're warned of a danger to life as Europe's heat wave hits the UK. We could see exceptionally high temperatures over the next few days, reaching levels never seen before in the UK, which could become deadly.
We wouldn't rule out the possibility, a smaller chance, that 40 Celsius plus could occur.
The impact's already being seen in parts of the country, with wildfires already taking hold. Well, Alex will be here to look at the frequency of these hot weather warnings and what we'll be facing over the next week, also tonight. A look at the current runners and riders in the Conservative leader race and who could be a late last-minute entry. Jailed, the teenager guilty of murdering 12-year-old Ava White in a killing that shocked Liverpool. There's a big night of action in the Women's Euros, with England and Northern Ireland both hoping for crucial wins. And it's the reunion millions have waited for. Kylie and Jason back together on the set of Neighbours.
This is the ITV Evening News with Charlene White.
Good evening. The Met Office has tonight issued a rare extreme heat warning, with temperatures set to soar to levels which could endanger life. The warning affects large areas of England and parts of Wales from Sunday and into early next week. Forecasters expect temperatures to reach the mid to high 30s during the day and also remain high during the night. But they can't rule out the possibility of it going above 40 degrees for the first time on record. That's a sweltering 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, tonight we're in Cambridge, one of the hottest parts of the country, in Salisbury, where emergency services are tackling a wildfire. And we'll also get analysis from Alex on why we're seeing such high temperatures. But first, here's Neil Connery at the start of a week of heat.
On Brighton Beach, the scorching summer sun beats down as heat health warnings kicked in across England. The hot weather is set to last into the weekend, with a rare extreme heat warning covering much of England and Wales, now in place from next Sunday. At this care home in Folkestone, they're working hard to keep residents comfortable as temperatures rise.
We tend to keep people under canopies or indoors, particularly during the highest points in the day when it gets really hot around midday. They should look out for signs of dehydration, of course. You know, you can see the dry lips, etc. But also at the same time, they should make sure that the people aren't exposed to the sun directly or for too long.
Warnings are also being issued to people to avoid swimming in dangerous places. The 16-year-old boy died in this abandoned quarry in Apley Bridge in Lancashire on Saturday night. Across the country, people are being urged to think twice as the heat wave takes hold.
We're not the fun police, and I can see the attraction of cool water versus hot weather, but the tidal Thames is a very dangerous stretch of river. People lose their lives on a weekly basis.
As temperatures climbed in Cambridge today, they were trying to get shade however they could. Nearly 3 years ago, the city hit the UK's highest ever recorded temperature with 38.7 degrees Celsius. Forecasters fear that could soon be beaten.
There is a chance that the temperature will go higher than that. So in which case we would call it unprecedented. We would say that we've never seen those kinds of temperatures before. But it's a chance rather than a guarantee at this stage. It's still 6 days away.
While many are making the best of it all, for others, the blistering heat is a threat to life.
OK, so let's take a look at where we'll face the highest temperatures over the next few days. That amber weather warning for extreme heat covers much of England and Wales. Temperatures are expected to keep climbing this week, and the latest warning will come into force on Sunday, and it could last until early next week. Well, Neil is in Cambridge for us. Neil, we've had some serious warnings from the Met Office about this, haven't we?
It is serious, and if you think things are bad today or tomorrow, brace yourself for what could be coming next Sunday or Monday. This rare weather warning from the Met Office talking about extreme heat. Now, we're not sure whether or not it will beat the record we saw here in Cambridge, of course, 3 years ago. As we heard, there's a small chance of that happening. We'll know more in the coming days as we get more data and the forecasts move into that time period. But I think what is clear is the direction of travel here, that on those days, Sunday and Monday next week, we could see temperatures possibly in the mid or high 30s. Now, that is going to cause a lot of pain and a lot of difficulty for a lot of people. Heat kills, and that is why these warnings matter, and that is why the Met Office want people to heed what they are saying.
Hey Neil, thanks very much for that. Well, with the heat wave comes the increased chance of wildfires as well, and one has already broken out on Salisbury Plain. Our correspondent Rupert Evin is there for us tonight. Rupert, how bad is it?
Well, the wildfire behind me stretches for some miles here over Salisbury Plain. So I think, to answer your question directly, it's pretty bad. You know, the plain is on fire. The wind is pretty brisk. All the grasses and the crops around here are all bone dry. It's the perfect recipe, isn't it, for a fire? Now, the MOD, the suspicion is that this wildfire may have been caused by live firing exercises from the Ministry of Defence here on Salisbury Plain. The MOD haven't confirmed that. What they have said, though, is that they will be ceasing all live firing for the moment. The military exercises, which have been long planned here on the plain, are continuing. You may be able to tell from the pictures that there's very little activity around the fire. For the moment, they're letting it burn. The reason is this is a military training area. There may be some unexploded ordnance. So unless they have to wade in, they're keeping back for now.
Rupert, thanks very much. OK, let's get more from Alex, who's on the London Eye for us tonight. Alex, it does feel as though these high temperatures and warnings are becoming more frequent, are they?
Well, Charlene, it certainly feels like we are seeing extreme weather more frequently, and it does feel like it's getting hotter. We've seen a high of 32 degrees Celsius today, but of course we've been talking about the chances later on in the week into the weekend where it could be 35 degrees or hotter. And let's actually take a quick look at when we've seen those temperatures. You can see back to the summer of 1976, which many of you will remember. That was a record-breaking summer. We saw 35 degrees or hotter twice in the 1990s, and then from 2003 we've seen it happen 6 times. And you can see that there is a bit of a trend developing here, and that's why a couple of years ago the Met Office had to start issuing those extreme heat warnings. As we know, one does kick into place on Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets extended into Monday, and this is for all of us to really take heed. Even for those of us that are relatively fit and healthy, we're all susceptible to things like heat stroke. Open water swimming can become dangerous, and also damage to infrastructure like railway lines. Of course, I have the full forecast coming up for you a bit later in the programme.
OK, brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Alex. We'll see you in just a second. But it's not just the UK that's sweltering in the heat. Countries across Europe have been experiencing extreme temperatures this summer. Wildfires are raging in Portugal as the country endures a heat wave with temperatures expected to reach up to 43 degrees Celsius. A state of alert has been issued in the country for the rest of the week. And in Spain, parts of the peninsula exceeded 40 degrees today as the second heat wave of the season, with Andalusia and Extremadura in the two regions predicted to be worst affected. OK, let's go to the day's other main story now. And Boris Johnson says he won't give his backing to any of the candidates hoping to replace him as party leader and Prime Minister. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is the latest to enter the race, bringing the current number to 11. Another contender, Sajid Javid, has hit out at the mudslinging between candidates over the weekend. He said it's a time for pulling together. Later tonight, we'll find out more about the timetable for the contest. Here's our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan.
If you want to be Prime Minister, you've got to face reporters as soon as you leave the House.
Why are you the right person to be the next Prime Minister?
Morning.
You can sound optimistic.
Are you confident in your leadership bid? Do you think you can win?
Of course. Good morning. It's good to see you.
Or you can just hide behind a big car.
Is raising taxes during a cost of living crisis the right thing to do, Mr Sunak?
Many Tory MPs think it is not and would very much like to cut taxes, so most of the candidates are making tax-cutting pledges.
Tax as a percentage of GDP will fall year on year if I become Prime Minister. That is a promise.
Some candidates are even being open about how they would pay for them. You want to cut taxes? Are you telling people what spending you will also cut?
Well, I think it's clear that we will need to reduce spending if we want to cut taxes. I think we need to look at some of our government budgets. I think we spend too much on welfare. There are too many people in this country who are of working age, who are of good health, and who are choosing to rely on benefits, on taxpayers' money, on your money, my money, to get by.
What is slightly awkward is that so many candidates were in the cabinet that has been raising taxes. Sajid Javid says circumstances have changed.
At the time the decision was made on the National Insurance Levy, I did not know that we'd be having 10% inflation. That has made a huge difference to the tax that's coming in through income tax, especially, but also through some of the fuel taxes.
Many of the candidates have fronted stirring videos. Liz Truss launched hers today.
I'm the candidate with a clear vision for the future.
And so did Grant Shapps.
My case for leadership is simple.
His initial pitch to Tory MPs was straight to the point.
I can help you win your seat.
So far, there are 11 declared candidates, with Priti Patel expected to join them soon. And if they have one thing in common, it's that the current Prime Minister, today visiting a laboratory, isn't publicly backing any of them.
There's a contest underway and that must happen, and I wouldn't want to damage anybody's chances by offering my support.
The Labour leader thinks none of their sums add up.
The arms race of fantasy economics is well underway. Over the weekend, the contenders have made more than £200 billion worth of unfunding spending commitments.
And the real question for Tory MPs is who would do best against him. Carl Dinnan, ITV News, Westminster.
OK, let's talk to our political editor, Robert Peston, who's at Westminster for us tonight. And we are expecting more details about the timetable of the leadership election shortly, aren't we? What do you think we should expect?
So, look, the most important political contest is the general election kicks off tomorrow. And as we speak, the rule makers of that contest, and indeed the people who will be the umpires of the contest, that's the 1922 committee and the board of the Conservative Party, are meeting. I am expecting the first phase tomorrow to be all about whether the candidates can get enough nominations. I think the nomination level for candidates who can take part in the contest will be they'll have to have the support each of about 20 MPs. And not all of the 11 who've currently put their names forward will reach that threshold of 20. Right now, only 2 are above the 20 mark. That's Penny Mordaunt and Rishi Sunak, who's comfortably ahead of the others. And then we will get almost daily, contests to knock out candidates, which will culminate at the end of next week with only 2 remaining. And those 2 will then go for an election contest involving Tory members over a matter of weeks. We don't yet know how long that contest will be. And as I actually pointed out earlier in the day, there are some MPs who would love it all to be over at the end of next week, but that can only happen if one candidate is so far ahead of the others that everybody else folds, the number 2 folds. I don't expect that to happen. I think there will be a contest over the summer. OK, well, we shall see. Robert, thanks very much.
The mother of murdered schoolgirl Ava White has described the terrible impact her death has had on her family. Leanne White told Liverpool Crown Court that her beloved Ava dies all over again every morning I wake up. She also said the 12-year-old would never be able to fulfil her dream of travelling the world. It came as her murderer, a 15-year-old boy who cannot be named for legal reasons, was given a life sentence. Our North of England reporter Sangeeta Lal has more.
Ava White was a bubbly, chatty girl, a 12-year-old who spent hours talking to her mother and sister about becoming an air hostess one day, a dream she was never able to fulfil, murdered for trying to protect her own privacy.
Merseyside have been really shocked by the tragedy of a 12-year-old girl having been fatally stabbed in Liverpool city centre, and the fact that it's a 14-year-old boy that's been convicted of her murder.
Ava had been enjoying the Christmas lights switch on in November last year when she argued with the defendant for posting a video of her on social media that she'd asked him to delete. As she confronted him, though, he stabbed her in the neck. This was captured straight after the teenager had killed Ava. The boy, who the judge ruled today can't be named to protect his wider family, was later seen joking with friends in the nearby shop. He was quickly arrested, though, barely able to see above the police station desk. Well, today the judge said to the defendant via video link, there is only one reason why Ava White is dead, because you chose to carry a knife and you chose to use it. She told him, you still have a chance to grow up, something you took away from Ava.
It is a sign of cowardice to take out a weapon and use it in the streets. My message is really clear. Don't risk it, because what we've seen in this case with Ava is it's then ultimately impacted on the loss of another life.
The teenager found guilty of murdering Ava has been sentenced to a minimum of 13 years. Today, Ava's mother said she would never be forgotten and that every young girl has the right to object to an invasion of their privacy. Well, this has been such a difficult day for Ava's family. At one point, they had to leave the courtroom because they were crying so much. The defendant, who was 14 when he committed murder, is now 15. He also cried as he heard the family statements read out. This sentence means that he'll spend the rest of his childhood behind bars, but he could be eligible for release as a young man at 28 years old. The judge, though, today said that he will remain on licence for the rest of his life.
OK, Sangeeta, thank you. There's plenty still to come on the ITV Evening News, including trouble with trains and problems with planes, how new strikes and cancellations could affect you. We've been inside the presidential palace stormed by protesters in Sri Lanka. And at 7, a special report from Ukraine on the families trying to get justice for their loved ones killed in war crimes. We'll see for that and much more after the break. Welcome back. Protesters are still occupying the homes of Sri Lanka's president and its prime minister after a weekend of political chaos. Anger at the government's handling of an economic crisis boiled over, and crowds of demonstrators stormed official residences in the capital, Colombo. They want an end to widespread shortages of food, fuel and medicine. From Colombo, our correspondent Peter Smith reports.
In Sri Lanka, the queue for petrol no longer lasts for hours. The wait is now measured in days. This is what it looks like when the country runs out of fuel and money. And this is what happens when the people run out of patience.
Yes.
How long have you been waiting for petrol?
4 or 5 days.
5 days?
Yes, in the queue.
Protesters have stormed the gates of the presidential palace. And from what we saw today, they have now taken over.
We will win because people are united.
This president is not coming back here.
Yeah, never come. If he come here, our people will kick out him.
The writing is now on the wall for the Sri Lankan regime. The black flag of the protesters now flies here. The new occupants experienced the luxury of a presidential bed, and there have been queues to take a dip in the president's pool.
The fact we, along with these people, can walk through this palace at our leisure tells us power in Sri Lanka no longer lies in the hands of the president, but it's not yet in the hands of the people, because the military still surrounds this place. Heavily armed guards are overseeing this delicate revolution.
Police have already fired tear gas on protesters. The guns haven't gone away, but people here tell me they are simply no longer scared.
I'm dying for my country. I'm proud for that thing.
So the fear has gone away for you?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Otherwise, why I'm not here?
Sheer desperation has driven this. With no gas for stoves, people in Sri Lanka now buy wood to cook in the streets. Community kitchens feed those without fuel or food. Dizala Rodrigo has been camped outside this palace since April. Now she's inside the president's old gym.
We don't have a gas cylinder to cook,
Even if we have induction electric cookers, we don't have electricity. There's a power cut going on every day. So that's the main reason why I'm here.
Is this the end?
No, this is not. We are waiting until they leave officially. Unless they leave, we are going to stay here and continue.
Sri Lanka's president is now in hiding and has briefed that he'll resign on Wednesday. The people say they'll believe it when they see it. Until then, they stay put and hold on to hope. Sri Lanka is in the midst of a peaceful revolution, but the situation is volatile and changing rapidly. President Rajapaksa is still in hiding. If he does resign on Wednesday, constitutionally, he should be replaced by the Sri Lankan Prime Minister, but the protesters still camped out on the beach behind me and occupying the palace will not accept that. They want the opposition parties to form a coalition to steer Sri Lanka into an election and deliver fresh change, a new start, because the situation is bleak. The country is effectively bankrupt, and whoever inherits the palace, Sri Lanka's most difficult days likely still lie ahead.
OK, Peter, thanks very much. Bernie Ecclestone, the former boss of Formula One, is to be charged over an alleged £400 million fraud. The charges followed an investigation by HMRC into the British billionaire's overseas assets. Conservative MP Jamie Wallace has been found guilty of 3 traffic offences following an incident last year in which he fled the scene of a car crash. The MP for Bridgend was fined £2,500 and disqualified from driving for 6 months. And the mother of 12-year-old Archie Battersby, who suffered brain damage 3 months ago, has urged a High Court judge to let her son continue fighting and let nature take its course. Archie's parents returned to court after winning an appeal against ending their son's life support treatment last month. Train drivers at 8 rail companies have voted overwhelmingly in favour of strike action in a row over pay. It means there could be further strikes over the summer. Members of the train drivers' union ASLEF want a pay increase in line with the cost of living. Well, Martha Fairley is at London's King's Cross station for us. Martha, do we know when strike action could start?
Well, at the moment, ASLEF have not named any dates for strikes. The earliest they could take action is 14 days from now, which is the 25th of July. That not only coincides with the school summer holidays, but it is also just a few days before the start of the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. Now, train drivers from 8 companies have voted by about 9-1 in favour of industrial action. They are from Chiltern, LNER, Northern, TransPennine Express, Arriva Rail London, Great Western, South Eastern and West Midlands trains. And while the union says they don't want to take strike action, they say they have been forced into this position by the companies driven by the government. They claim they haven't had a pay rise since 2019 and that they want a rise in line with the cost of living in 2022. Now, meanwhile, in Scotland, there is some good news because ASLEF train drivers there have voted to accept an improved pay rise from ScotRail. So while their timetables, which have been disrupted since May, will be going back to normal, in England, passengers will be worried about their journeys over the summer.
All right, Martha, thanks very much. Well, the other journey people have worries about over the summer is at the airports, where it appears as though the issues still aren't sorted there. Heathrow cut another 61 flights at short notice today, warning that more could be cancelled in the weeks ahead. It's part of the staffing crisis facing the industry and comes on the cusp of the summer holiday season. Well, Sejal Karia is over at Heathrow. And Sejal, it'll be worrying for anyone planning to get away this summer, won't it?
Yes, there's more disruption, there's more chaos, and there was more disappointment for travellers at Heathrow. Today's cancellations affecting 10,000 people and coming on top of the 10,300 flights that have already been axed by British Airways last week, and the summer holidays haven't even begun yet. These latest cancellations were ordered by Heathrow at short notice, saying that they couldn't cope with the numbers of people travelling through. This after another weekend of disruption caused by problems with baggage handling at Terminal 3, and holidaymakers have already been enduring chaos and delays at check-in and security. Heathrow is warning it'll cut further flights if disruption continues. It says it's sorry, but it has admitted that the numbers of flights arriving on time at the airport are very low. It says that the UK aviation industry is doing all it can to improve things, but at this stage, no one can make any promises that this summer's getaway will be free of disruption.
Sejal, thank you. We are watching the ITV Evening News. Here's what's still ahead before Emmerdale.
Oh dear God.
Caught on camera, the dramatic avalanche that endangered some British tourists. How scientists are trying to stop the spread of grey squirrels using food.
Football fans are heading to the South Coast, not just for the sunshine and the seaside, but for something pretty special, to see England playing in the group stages of the Euros.
And Northern Ireland are already been in action, so how do they get on? Plus, they're back. Kylie and Jason return to Ramsay Street for the first time in 3 decades.
And we've seen a top temperature of 32 degrees Celsius today. That was here in the capital, and a bit like the London Eye, those temperatures are set to steadily rise as we head towards the weekend in the mid to high 30s. Could it be record-breaking? Full forecast coming up later in the programme.
But first, Ukraine's chief war crimes prosecutor has told ITV News she's starting the process of charging 36 suspects for the massacre in Bucha. Russian forces are alleged to have captured, tortured and executed dozens of civilians when they took the town in March. When Ukrainian forces retook Bucha, which is just north of Kyiv, they found evidence of many atrocities. One victim, who was a father of 2, Serhiy Kabashny, he worked as a driver and it's thought he was killed after his van was seized. His brave widow, Nina, invited our cameras to film with her as she tried to find out what happened in his final moments. From Bucha, our correspondent John Ray sent this special report.
Nina is on a journey.
It's very hard to believe.
A journey no one would ever want to make.
I'm sure, pretty sure, he was killed at that place inside from hotel.
The destination is the scene of a mass execution.
I can't feel smell from people who dead, and his body still here.
Here, we are told, the Russians killed dozens of people. Among them, her husband Serhiy, the father of her 2 daughters.
No matter what.
Imagine the courage it takes to confront the awful truth.
Oh my God. Many shooting from head, shoulder, neck, heart, legs, hand, even on back.
What's it like for you to be back here, his last place where he was alive?
It really hurts. It really hurts to be here and feeling how he stayed alive and just like a few seconds and he dead.
Yeah.
I can't talk. I'm sorry.
It's taken Nina months to discover her husband's fate, and only then when she saw pictures of his body posted on social media.
His eye open when they killed them. From gun, his eye open after death.
But he looked his killers in the eye.
After body dead, his eyes looking at heaven. So it's like that. Sorry.
Across this country, there are many people like Nina searching the ruins of their lives, looking for an answer, an understanding of the last moments of a husband or a wife, a son or a daughter. They might find out how they died, but never an answer to that much bigger question. Why?
We shared Nina's story with the woman whose job it is to track down her husband's killers.
Very brave woman, actually. Very strong and brave woman.
Can you promise Nina and so many like her that they will have justice for their loved ones.
I work for Nina and for other Ukrainians, and this is my main goal every day. Can not only promise, I guarantee, then I do the best and the most possible what we can ever to do.
In and around Bucha, she tells me, they've identified 36 suspects.
Started to prosecute them.
You know their names, you know their units, you know
Absolutely.
what they did.
Yes.
But with more crimes every day, they're overwhelmed.
What is it that you lack, and what is it that you need the international community to help you with?
We need more support on the ground. It should be investigators, prosecutors, experts of international humanitarian law, forensic experts, other experts.
The investigation, she warns, will go on long after the war ends.
What I have seen during these 4 months, I've never forget it, and I never forgive it. I never forgive burnt people by tank, shot civilians by guns. I hope that we will demonstrate not only whole world, but concrete Nina and other people who are now victims and survivors, that we can do the job for them.
But for Nina, all hope is gone.
Do you think you will ever find the men who are guilty of murdering your husband?
I hope he's dead. It's not possible to find him. It's not only one person, it's many person. It's very hard. It's hurt me every time when I look this picture.
In Ukraine, the graves are filling faster than the wheels of justice can turn. John Ray, ITV News, Bucha.
And you can read John's account of what he found in Bucha in Ukraine on our website, itv.com/news. OK, let's get an update on what's making the news tonight. Temperatures could reach as high as 40 degrees in some parts of the country by the end of the week. A rare extreme heat warning has been issued by the Met Office for Sunday onwards. A full forecast is, of course, coming up a little later. A teenage boy is tonight starting his prison sentence for the murder of 12-year-old Ava White. The boy, who can't be named for legal reasons, was given a minimum term of 13 years behind bars. And the total number of candidates who put themselves forward to become the new Conservative Party leader tonight stands at 11. The group that decides how that number will be whittled down is meeting right now. A British tourist has told ITV News about his dramatic escape from a massive avalanche in Kyrgyzstan. Harry Shamin started filming when a large part of a glacier broke off a mountain. He kept the camera rolling as the snow hurtled down the mountain before realising he was also in its path. Harry Fawcett takes up the story.
Harry Shimin says it was the sound that alerted him first, deep and ominous. He'd peeled away from the rest of his tour group in the far eastern mountains of Kyrgyzstan to take some pictures.
It was like, wow, I'm in a good place to see this. I've already got my phone now. And straight away I was thinking, here we go, I'm going to get some good footage here. When the oh gods happen, that's when I'm like, okay, it's not too far away from me now.
Oh God. Oh dear God.
Probably quite sad, I suppose, but all throughout I was just thinking, I hate it when avalanche videos end too soon, and I'm going to show them how it's done to get a good one. The choices were essentially stay there next to where the shelter was and film, or run towards the avalanche, which definitely didn't seem preferable at the time.
Amazingly, none of the tourists or guides was seriously injured. It would have been very different had they been 5 minutes further along the path.
The atmosphere and mood changed quite a bit from that really happy, wow, we're so lucky to have experienced that, to, okay, actually, we all nearly just died.
Harry says the experience has cemented his belief that you have to crack on. You never know how close you are to death. If he ever needs a reminder, it's there on an avalanche video that definitely doesn't stop too soon.
Oh dear God.
Harry Fawcett, ITV News.
Just incredible pictures. Next tonight, how hazelnut paste spiked with contraceptives could prove to be the saviour of red squirrels. The mix has shown promising signs of keeping down the numbers of grey squirrels who can damage the British countryside and carry disease that's lethal to reds. So it's hoped effectively putting them on the pill will help to control their numbers, as our Wales reporter Rhys Williams explains.
They might not look much like an ecological menace, but the cute grey squirrel causes huge amounts of damage to the British countryside.
We don't object to individual animals, of course we love animals, but as a species they're causing quite a lot of problems.
Introduced from North America in the 1870s, greys carry the squirrel pox virus, which does them no harm, but is fatal to native red squirrels.
People think of squirrels eating nuts, but they'll eat other food as well, so they will eat birds' eggs. They will eat chicks in the nest sometimes if they find them. They'll even find their way into nest boxes sometimes to get at the eggs and the chicks.
The UK population of red squirrels used to be around 3.5 million, but since grey squirrels arrived in the UK, the number of reds has dropped to under 140,000, compared to a current estimate of 2.5 million greys. Grey squirrels are also a menace to trees. Between April and the end of July, they strip away at the bark, interrupting the sap flow, which causes many of them to die. Some trees like oak, sycamore and beech are so vulnerable to grey squirrels that many foresters simply won't bother planting them. New research in Yorkshire and Wales has found that oral contraceptives for squirrels are working.
They have to push open a door.
The plan involves luring grey squirrels into feeding boxes using hazelnut spread spiked with contraceptives.
People like grey squirrels, but I guarantee if you saw red squirrels you would find them even cuter. But also the damage they do, we simply can't just let them go about their business unchecked.
Culls of grey squirrels have long been unsuccessful. The hope is that this non-lethal plan means their red cousins are heading towards a brighter future. Rhys Williams, ITV News, Gwent.
OK, to the Euros now, and England know that victory over Norway tonight will guarantee they progress to the knockout stages of the Euros. Northern Ireland's defeat to Austria earlier means a win would see England through to the quarter-finals. Their match kicks off at Brighton Stadium at 8 tonight, and Amy Lewis is there for us. So, Amy, confidence is high tonight, isn't it?
It is indeed, and it is also a packed house here. All 30,000 tickets for this game have sold out. Millions more will be watching from home in what is a crucial game for England. Here in Brighton, from the seafront to the stadium, England fans are cheering on their team. They've come for the sea and sunshine and to witness something special. The rare chance to see the Lionesses play in a major tournament on their doorstep.
Obviously it's a home Euro, so keen to come and give our support.
How special is it to have it here?
Oh, it's amazing. It's a lifetime opportunity, and I think it's great to see so many fans coming and supporting, and the stadium being packed out.
What do you reckon the atmosphere is going to be like?
Electric. I can't wait. Brilliant.
Sun's out, footballs, beer, food, by the beach. What more do you want?
It's not just the fans, but veterans of the women's game who were willing the Lionesses on. Hope Powell managed the team for 5 years and believes this is the best shot they've had at winning major silverware.
It's credit to the game. I think it's credit to all the hard work that so many people have put in over the years. And as a result of that, we end up another home tournament with sell-out crowds, which is fantastic.
They got off to a winning start in their opening match and are unbeaten in 15 games under their coach Serena Wiegman. But she's shrugging off any suggestion that they're tonight's favourites.
And we want to win the game and they want to win the game. And if they want to be the underdog, that's fine. I think they have a very strong squad and we do too. So I expect an open match and we'll see where it goes.
Those lucky enough to have a ticket are heading inside for this sellout match. If they think it's hot, imagine how the players are feeling. Well, it is almost 30 degrees here, so it is absolutely baking hot for the players who don't just need to contend with being the favourites, but also the soaring temperatures. If they do win tonight, they do go through to the knockout stages. England have never won a major tournament, so there is, as you would imagine, a lot of excitement here if they can go through. Norway versus England kicks off here at 8 o'clock tonight.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Thanks very much, Amy. Well, Northern Ireland's Euro dream has been ended by Australia tonight. They lost 2-0, but did themselves and their country proud, as Chris Scudder reports.
They could not afford to lose. They'd scored a first ever major tournament goal. The players were allowed 2 official cooling breaks. Suitably refreshed, Jackie Burns pulled off a sensational save.
Magnificent save!
Austrians threw at them, Jackie Burns kept out, just about.
Jackie Burns and her reaction.
Barring something unlikely, Northern Ireland will not now get out of the group. But for a nation who battled against the odds just to get there, what a journey it's been. Chris Scudder, ITV News.
Comedian Alan Carr has reassured his fans after he collapsed with severe cramp while on stage during a gig last night. It came on after he told a joke that involved a high kick and left him rolling around on the stage. He managed to complete his set, though, after his tour manager pushed a crutch through the curtains. He said he now plans to give his leg a rest. Hope you feel better, Alan. And from sport to a bit more showbiz.
Welcome to mine.
It wouldn't be a Neighbours finale without Kylie and Jason, would it? We'll be taking a sneak peek at the last episode in just a moment.
Charlene and Scott I think they encapsulated a moment in time, a bit of a kind of youthful romance, and I think that the Brits took them on as their sweethearts.
And we're in for an uncomfortable night of sleeping, with some parts holding up near 20 degrees Celsius. Join me for the full forecast coming next.
Gosh, it's going to be a hot night. Join me and Alex for that after this short break. Welcome back. Let's return to Alex Beresford and that amber weather warning for extreme heat. We could see some record-breaking temperatures, couldn't we, Alex?
You're right, Charlene. As we know, the Met Office are predicting that on Sunday and Monday, temperatures could well be in the mid to high 30s. The hottest temperature ever recorded here in the UK since records began back in 1910 is 37.8 degrees Celsius. Sorry, actually 38.7 degrees Celsius, and that was recorded back in 2019 on the 25th of July in Cambridge. We do know that there are some reports out there of 40 degrees Celsius. That's one record that we definitely won't be celebrating, and I hope we don't get there. But as you know, yes, we do have this extreme heat warning in place, amber, issued by the Met Office on Sunday. Probably will be extended into Monday as well, and obviously that does bring a real risk to life, particularly for people with underlying health conditions, respiratory conditions, and also for those of us that are also quite fit and healthy. Just being out in the sun, between the hours of 11 and 3 p.m. could also cause things like sunstroke, and also we could be at risk to drowning in open water. Lots of us feeling that we do need to go and cool off, so really take heed over the next few days. Keep a watchful eye on the forecast, and of course I'll keep you updated as we head through the next few days. Right, let's take a look at the temperatures then for tonight. Here we go.
It's going to be hot, so you may be tempted to go for a dunk later. Heinz Garlic Sauce sponsors ITV National Weather.
Well, the weather is going to stay pretty settled for much of the UK as we head through the course of this week. It will cool off through the middle part of this week, not cooling down probably enough, but temperatures will start to kind of pegged back into the high 20s, maybe 27, 28 degrees Celsius will be our daytime high around midweek. But then, as we know, we are expecting it to get even hotter as we head into the latter part of the weekend, into the early part of next week. In fact, if we take a look at the air mass chart and see how it's all going to develop, you'll notice that very hot plume of air coming up. The purple colours on the chart there will push up from the south on Sunday into Monday, and that's when we're expecting those temperatures to be hotter than around 35 degrees Celsius. So extreme heat conditions, and that's why we do have that warning very much in place. As for this evening and overnight, it is going to be cloudier night to come across the far north, but a pretty warm night all round. You'll notice Yorkshire sticking out like a sore thumb. Probably see a nighttime low there, not so low at around 20 degrees Celsius. That's probably what we would call a tropical night, and it could also cause problems for people with health conditions as well. So really do think about ways in which you can keep very cool overnight. Into tomorrow, another pretty fine, dry day all round, but again, temperatures across the southeast are expected to reach 32 degrees Celsius, but away from here, certainly a fair bit cooler, but as I say, rising in the coming days.
Heinz Garlic Sauce sponsors ITV National Weather.
Well, Charlene, that is it from the London Eye, where it has been a pretty fine evening, but as I say, people really do need to keep a watchful eye on the forecast as we head through the next few days to stay fit and healthy.
Absolutely, Alex, thank you. Finally tonight, it's what Neighbours fans have waited for more than 30 years. Kylie Minogue and Jason Donovan back together as Charlene and Scott. The show's most famous couple reunited for the final episode of the long-running series. Our entertainment reporter Rishi Davda spoke to one Neighbours superfan on the return of good friends.
A superstar selfie that'll have soap fans smiling from ear to ear. Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue, or as they're better known on Ramsay Street, Scott and Charlene Robinson, back in each other's arms one last time. Charlene's even wearing her famous overalls. The picture's a welcome treat for loyal viewers.
I'm giddy with excitement. Like, trying to avoid all spoilers is hard enough. And then, but you just couldn't resist having a look and seeing Kylie back as Charlene. Everything a hardcore Neighbours fan could ever have wanted.
Neighbours, everybody needs good neighbours.
Their wedding was watched by more than 2 million people in Australia when it first aired. But in the UK, almost 20 million tuned in.
I think it was just the innocence of it. I think, our soaps at the time, you're looking at EastEnders, Brookside, Coronation Street, they were a bit more grittier, whereas, Neighbours, it was really innocent. And Charlene and Scott I think they encapsulated a moment in time, a bit of a kind of youthful romance, but the Brits took them on as their sweethearts.
The Australian soap started in 1985, but production stopped earlier this year after it was dropped by its broadcaster and failed to secure new funding.
Gutted. I felt like Kerry Bishop when she got shot by duck hunters all those years ago. It's just really sad. It's like the end of an era.
After 37 years on our screens, a final double episode will air at the end of the month, with a whole host of former stars making an appearance. So how will Ben be watching?
Probably in a big black veil with a large black bottle of wine next to me and a box of tissues to sob into.
It's bound to be emotional as we prepare to kiss goodbye to Neighbours. Rishi Davda, ITV News.
I'll definitely be sobbing too. Right, that's it for now. Raggy's here with news at 10, but for me and the whole of the team, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.